Ever wonder why you work out consistently and eat clean, but you still don't look toned? You may get smaller, but you still feel sort of skinny fat and flabby instead of defined how you want to be. This is also something I struggled with for years, but now I can happily say that I have finally achieved the best physique of my life. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you the 3 steps you need to implement that has not only helped me achieve my dream body, but has also worked for over 1,000 women I have coached personally to get lean and toned for good. So let's dive into what those 3 steps are. So right now, I am about to wrap up a fat loss phase, and I am absolutely thrilled with how I'm looking. Really, the body I have now is a body I have been working so hard to get for a long time, and it's only recently that I really put all the pieces together to actually make that happen. I have some nice capped shoulders with overall lean defined arms, a snatched small waist with obvious chiseled abs, and most importantly, my favorite, a pop and bubble butt with very sculpted, firmed, obviously toned legs. So a lot of women would look at this physique that I have achieved and think, okay, well, yes, you're coming to the end of your cut, so the reason that you're looking so good is because you have lost body fat, so the solution is just taking off fat and getting lean. Well, if this is the conclusion you jump to, you are really missing a big part of the equation. Because yes, I have trimmed down the fluff, I have gotten extra lean, which definitely is making my body look really great. But it's really important to note that I would not have the shape, the tone, the definition that I have on my arms, my legs, my glutes. None of that would be there if it hadn't been for the many months, and in my case, really, it's been years of working actively on muscle building as well. So this brings us to the first step that you must implement in order to get the toned, fit, lean body of your dreams. You actually need to spend the vast majority of the time in a muscle building phase, and then you should only be cutting, focusing on fat loss a small percentage of the time. Now, this is exactly where most women are going wrong, and it's also where I went wrong in the past and why I struggled to achieve my dream body for so long, despite the fact that I was going to the gym very consistently, lifting heavy weights, pushing myself hard, tracking my macros, and getting in plenty of protein. Yes, because I was doing all those things, I still looked okay. It's not like I looked terrible, but I always was so confused why I did not have way more tone, way more definition, shapes and curves in all the right places. Essentially, I wanted the body that I have now, and I didn't know why I didn't have it back then. Well, now the answer is obvious to me. I didn't have that body because I was making a huge mistake, which was I was always keeping my calories low. I was only ever trying to get lean, trying to lose body fat, trying to cut. So I would only eat 1,700 calories a day, which meant that even though I was working out really hard, I was always in a calorie deficit because I thought the only thing that mattered was taking fat off my body, and so long as the fat came off, I was gonna unveil this amazingly firm, tone defined physique. Well, it wasn't until I got so tired of feeling like I just had plateaued for years that I finally decided to invest in high quality fitness coaches, and that is when I learned the 3 steps that I'm teaching you in today's video. That first and foremost, yes, you do need to take fat off. Yes, you do need to be lean. However, if you take fat off of a body that has not built sufficient muscle mass, you will not get the tone, the shape, the definition that you're looking for, because you only get that when you've added on enough muscle tissue onto your body, and then you also get lean. So now that you know that that toned, sexy body you want to have is a woman who has a lot of muscle and who's also staying lean, taking some fat off, then we have to understand that there are different phases you need to do in order to achieve this result. So this is the second step of the 3 steps you must do in order to achieve your dream body, is to actually have a timeline of different phases that you are going to dedicate yourself to, because you need to do two different phases. Some of the time you're going to need to dedicate yourself to a muscle building phase, and then a smaller percentage of the time you're going to need to dedicate yourself to a fat loss phase. Now, can you lose fat and build muscle at the same time? Yes, to a degree you can, and I'm going to share how that is in this video, but you're only going to be able to achieve so much of both simultaneously. You can definitely have that initial recomposition, fat coming off and muscle coming on, especially in the early stages of doing everything correctly, especially when you're a beginner to lifting weights and macros and all of that. But eventually it's going to make so much more sense for you to dedicate yourself either to being more in a muscle building phase versus some of the time cutting. Now, the reason that I say some of the time cutting is because you can lose fat way more quickly than you can gain muscle. Muscle takes a lot longer to build. In fact, it's about 4 times slower than it is for you to lose fat. So for example, if we zoom out and look at myself, I started with the new fitness mentor that I have at the very end of September 2025. So when I started with him, I was weighing in at 133 pounds, and we started off my calories at around 1950 a day. And then I ended up doing this muscle building phase with him, which is called reverse dieting, for 5 months. So that is a good chunk of time. And over the course of that 5 months, I increased my calories, not drastically. We ended up only increasing to about 2270. So you can call it just under 2,300 calories a day. And over the course of the 5 months, I gained another 3 pounds, ending at 136 pounds. Now, although I gained a few pounds on the scale, I actually think that I look better. And the reason that I look better is because we were really working on my training. So this is the third step of what you need to understand when it comes to building your dream body, is that it is not just your nutrition that matters. It is very much also your training. In order to build muscle, you need to make sure that your training is top notch, because although you need to be eating enough food in order to have the resources to build the muscle tissue you want, that's ultimately going to make you look toned, eating alone does not build muscle. The way that we build new muscle tissue on our body is, one, by having enough fuel coming in, but also first and foremost is by creating a stimulus on your muscles. It's that tension, that resistance that comes with very targeted, very high quality, very high effort training that is going to tell your muscles, okay, this girl's trying to make us grow. So that's what gets the momentum going in the first place. But this is where, if you're under eating like I used to and like what most women are doing, okay, you can train hard, you can be working out like all the time, but if you have no fuel in the tank, well, you literally are not giving your body any resources to build with. So in my case, 5 months of this muscle building phase called a reverse diet, gradually bringing up your food bit by bit, working really hard on my training, sending in exercise form videos every single week to my mentor, getting lots of feedback, getting really specific about my technique, my execution, and all of that to say, although I gained a few pounds on the scale, ultimately I think my physique improved. Obviously it's a bit subtle in pictures, but the grand reveal of my fat loss phase is what really proves that I achieved a lot in this muscle building phase. Because now what's happened is I am wrapping up the second month of my cutting phase. So let me say that again. I spent 5 months eating higher calories, training hard, and gaining just a few pounds, but ultimately what that was doing was adding more muscle onto my frame. And now I have only been cutting 2 months and I have such a great physique to reveal underneath the body fat. Now, I already thought that my physique looked quite good even before the cut, but now that I have trimmed down just the last little bits of fluff that was kind of hiding that specific firmness, that specific muscle definition, now it's really showing all of the muscle that I had built underneath, and I'm just so thrilled with the payoff. So if we're to zoom out and we're to think of a 1-year timeline for you to go from a body that looks sort of like this, sort of soft and skinny fat, to a body that looks like this, toned, tight, defined, snatched, here is what your breakdown is going to look like. Probably your first 3 to 4 months is going to be your muscle building phase, your reverse diet. Then what we're going to do is probably transition to about 2 to 3 months of a fat loss phase, a calorie deficit, your cut, as it's called. Potentially it could go up to about 4 months, but somewhere in that 2 to 3, maybe maximum 4-month window. And then following that, you're going to be spending the rest of the time doing a second reverse diet to get out of your fat loss phase and go back to that higher maintenance level of calories. Okay, so let's look at each of these phases a little bit more in depth. So the muscle building phase I call a reverse diet. diet. And the reason we call it that is because instead of like what you do in a diet where you're cutting your calories down, we're literally doing the opposite. We're gradually bringing your food up bit by bit. Now, this doesn't happen super quickly. The whole point of doing this is to let your body acclimatize to the new calories. And again, most importantly, this is paired with the fact that you are doing good quality training. Because don't forget, it's the level of effort, the level of good quality technique, increasing the weight that you're lifting, increasing the load on the muscles done well over time. That is kind of utilizing the food that you're feeding yourself to build new muscle tissue. And as you're building new muscle, this is also going to be speeding up metabolism. It's going to be absorbing the food that you do eat and kind of utilizing it more for fuel, for training, and for muscle gain. So this is why you can actually already start to see that you're leaning out, that you're toning up just by increasing your calories only, because what's happening is your body is becoming more muscular, your metabolism is speeding up, so naturally this is helping to take off some of the fluff and add more of that lean muscle tissue. And I'll share an example with you here. This is an example of a client who only did a reverse diet with me. We did not do any cutting, and this was the transformation she had, just going from never having trained in the gym, not knowing how to lift weights, and averaging about 1,600 calories a day, all the way up to 2,300 calories a day, learning how to lift weights, push herself, use good intensity in her training, about 4 days a week, and boom, totally night and day. Obviously, she looks so much better in her after. Okay, and then the final reason why you want to do a reverse diet, you want to be gradually bringing food up so that you can speed up metabolism, you can add on muscle. The last kind of reason is you want to be in a great position for when the time does come for you to transition into a calorie deficit, into a cut, to take off the last bits of fluff, last bits of fat, and really reveal all that sexy muscle that you work so hard to build underneath. So essentially, you want to get your maintenance level calories, the amount of food that you are consistently eating, to a nice high point so that when it comes time to drop your calories to actually be in a deficit, well, now you have a lot of run room that your cut is actually going to be really effective because you actually have calories to drop from to create a significant enough deficit. So again, using myself here, I finished my reverse diet around 2,300 calories a day, and now at the very end of my 2-month cut, I'm eating just under 1,700 calories, which, yeah, that is a big drop, but that's the whole point, is that I have the room to make that big of a drop just in a 2-month period so that the fat is going to come off quite easily because my body got adapted to the consistent 2,300. So now if I'm going to go down to 1,700, well, that's a pretty significant deficit. So I'm able to kind of just strip off the fluff, strip off the fat quite quickly and reveal all the muscle that I had built at the higher calorie intake beforehand. So this is also why you're not going to be cutting for quite as long. It's usually just going to be a couple of months, 2, 3, 4 months. It just depends on how much fat you have to lose, what your ultimate end goal is, and also, of course, how you're feeling during the process. If you're just feeling like, yeah, let's keep going, everything's going great, you're not exhausted, you're not too hungry, you're not having diet fatigue, and you want to take more fat off, you can go a little bit on the longer side. But if you're kind of feeling like, oh, you know, I took off my fat, I'm good, I'm not trying to get leaner than this, I'd rather add on more muscle, that's when you can end the deficit a little bit earlier. So the whole purpose of this cutting phase is to kind of get in and out rather quickly. It's going to be a more dedicated, more disciplined phase because obviously it's more difficult to eat less food. And the other thing about this phase is you really need to minimize the amount of free meals or just eating out that you're doing unless you're actually able to track that really accurately. Because since you're in a calorie deficit, that means we really need to actually make sure that you're in that deficit. So if you're kind of having free meals, cheat meals, whatever you want to call it, then that can really be easily taking you out of the deficit and kind of undoing your hard work. So this is a phase to really lock in, really commit. And yeah, sure, that's not as much fun on the surface, but if you were doing good training and you did a good quality reverse diet, well, the good thing about this phase is you're kind of getting really quick results because since you are committed to that deficit and since you put on the muscle in your reverse diet, now when the fat is coming off in your cut, you're gonna be so excited about just how toned, just how lean and defined you're actually looking. So once you've finished your deficit, once you have achieved your weight loss goal, now you're gonna need to reverse diet once again to get out of your deficit, but be able to maintain the weight loss you achieved, the fat loss you achieved at that higher level calorie intake. So this post-cut reverse is really, really essential in order for you to not not just undo all the hard work that you achieved. So I'm going to share a client example here to illustrate what it's like to go through these 3 phases. So this is our client Leslie, who has dropped 20 pounds working with us one-to-one over the course of almost 1 year now inside of coaching. But more importantly, not only has she lost the 20 pounds, she is now maintaining the 20 pounds down that she achieved while eating 2450 calories a day. And this is a woman who is in her later 40s who is able to maintain this lean, toned, chiseled body that she was able to achieve working with us. So when she first came into the program, she was somebody who was already exercising a lot. It's just that the quality of what she was doing was not good. So I also want to emphasize that a huge part of the reason why she's looking as lean, toned, defined as she is because she was sending in lots of form videos, and we have been able to coach her to train smarter instead of harder. And she's actually working out less now, but it's getting her way better results because now we're actually doing what's required to target the muscles so that they're going to grow. So off the bat, we first took her through a 3-month reverse diet starting at 2,000 calories a day up to 2,400 calories. And in this period of time, her body composition was definitely improving. She was already leaning out. She actually even lost about 4 pounds, which is obviously not a lot, but it's pretty amazing to be losing weight by eating more food. But now she was in a really good position to be able to cut since her calories were so high. She was consistent with her nutrition targets and she was consistent with good quality training. So then we cut for 4 months, going from 2,400 calories a day down to 1,900 at her lowest. And in that period of time, she lost an additional 15 pounds, meaning she achieved 19 pounds down, took off her cellulite, had chiseled abs to show, smooth, lean, toned legs. All of this from adding on the muscle, taking off fat, achieved by doing this reverse diet into a cut. So now she's been in her post-cut reverse diet once again to exit the deficit and get her maintenance calories back up and just work on maintaining the physique she built while also adding a little bit more muscle gradually, but maintaining the leanness. So she's been doing that for 3 months now, and she's just been like getting hungry because the metabolism is so revved up. She's training hard, she's adding on more muscle tissue. So we've been able to bring her up to 2,450 calories a day, and she's actually been hitting new lows ever since we have done that. So she's down a total of 20 pounds. You know, in some cases it's gotten as low as like 22 pounds down total, but more or less maintaining that 20 pounds down at 2,450 calories a day. I'll give you one final client example just to highlight exactly this entire process. This is our client Hannah, 54 years old, only 5 feet tall, and same thing, she came into the program already really active, already working out a lot, but obviously just feeling like she did not look toned at all despite all of her work. So we got her to improve the quality of her workouts, actually start lifting challenging weights, learn good quality lifting technique, increase her effort level, make sure her execution was good by sending in lots of form videos for review, and then we also did this reverse diet into a cut method. So we spent 4.5 months in her case, reverse dieting from where she was averaging when she started the program, which was about 1,700 calories a day, up to 2,300 calories a day. And in this period of time, she averaged about 2 pounds down. So definitely that's not that drastic, but her body composition started to look way better already. She was already way more lean, way more toned, even if there wasn't a huge change in the scale. But in a reverse diet, your goal is not really to see a drastic amount of weight loss. Your goal is to have recomposition and to get your maintenance calories nice and high so that when it comes for you to go into your cut, into your calorie deficit to take off fat, you're going to be able to lose easily because everything in your body, your metabolism is just working so well and your calories are nice and high. So now she has been cutting for about 3 months and we're back down to 1,700 calories in her deficit. So she is now eating the same amount as she was when she started the program, but this is only temporary. We're probably going to be wrapping up her cut in the next couple of weeks because she is a total of 10 pounds down and she looks so lean, so toned, tight and defined, such an amazing transformation. So after the next couple of weeks of her cutting and achieving maybe a few more pounds down, that is when we're going to start her post-cut reverse and bring her food back up once again so she can maintain the results she achieved at a higher level intake. Okay, fam, so that is how you do it. Those are the 3 steps that you must embrace in order to get the toned body of your dreams and maintain it for good. So I know that this maybe seems confusing. There's a lot of information I'm throwing at you. And to be honest, it is really difficult to guide yourself to incredible results. I tried to do it on my own for so long, and I was putting in way more effort actually than I even am now, but my results were way more mediocre. So this is why working with a high-level one-to-one coach is just such a game changer. You can finally have your efforts actually look like it on your body and be so grateful that you are having that transformation for good. So if you want that kind of accountability, that kind of customization, support, and guidance, that's exactly what we offer inside of our one-to-one program, where we're gonna guide you through all of this, all the different phases of reverse dieting, cutting, what to be doing with your nutrition, when and how to be changing the amount of food you eat, and also, of course, guiding you through how to be training and making sure that you are always improving your execution, so you're actually gonna add on that sexy muscle that you wanna see that's gonna make you tone for the rest of your life. So if you're interested in getting our high-level one-to-one support, you can click on the link in the description, fill in an application. I'd love to chat with you and see if you'd be a good fit for our one-to-one program. All right, fam, thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And now next, YouTube thinks that you're gonna love this one, so make sure to go check that one out next, and I'll see you over in that video.